good evening. Welcome to the BBC News at 10. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has tonight vowed not to strike a key Iranian gas field after being publicly chastised by his ally in the war with Iran. President Trump had warned Israel not to carry out similar strikes after yesterday's attack on South Pars. Iran's response, striking the Qatari side of the gas facility, caused markets to surge. And this afternoon, Iran attacked Haifa oil refinery, the largest oil processing facility in Israel. In a news conference just in the last few hours, Benjamin Netanyahu insisted that Israel had acted alone against that gas compound, but that the US and Israel were achieving goals at lightning speed, as he put it, with close coordination. Our chief North America correspondent, Gary O'Donoghue, has the latest from Washington.
Day 20 of this war.
God bless Iran. God bless Iran.
Same ends in sight. After
Iran is fighting existential threat from this vermin, this terrorists.
Civilian population. Tehran retaliated.
It's cancers of the world.
Ras Laffan processing plant, part of the biggest natural gas field in the world. Overnight, before greeting the Japanese Prime Minister at the White House, the president had already criticized Israel's actions, saying he'd known nothing about the targeting of civilian energy infrastructure, and Israel wouldn't do it again.
You talked to Prime Minister Netanyahu about attacking the oil and gas fields.
Yeah, I did. I told him don't do that, and he won't do that. We didn't discuss. You know, we do. We're independent. We get along great. It's coordinated, but on occasion he'll do something, and if I don't like it, and so we're not doing that anymore.
And then an extraordinary historical slap in the face for Japan, when one Japanese reporter asked why allies hadn't been warned about the start of the war.
Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay, why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay, right?
Israel continues to face drone and missile strikes from Iran, the latest to get through, hitting a critical oil refinery in the port city of Haifa. President Trump started this war of choice because he said Iran's nuclear program posed an imminent threat to the United States. Administration officials went out of their way to say they weren't targeting Iran's energy infrastructure. But questions have loomed over diverging war aims, with Israel's focus on assassinations and this latest attack on the gas field. Earlier at the Pentagon, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth said there was no timeline for the ending of the war, but appeared to acknowledge
we need 200 billion more.
Might differ.
We hold the cards. We have objectives. Those objectives are clear. We have allies pursuing objectives as well. And the truth speaks for itself.
It's sickening to listen and see this guy talk. People like this shouldn't have a platform. He's a low life.
South Pars gas field wasn't just a civilian facility, but also used for military purposes, and therefore a legitimate target. Come the end of the day, and the tone from the Prime Minister was markedly different.
Well, I'll say two things. Fact number one, Israel acted alone against the Slawiya gas compound.
Because you want to widen the war.
President Trump asked us to
What a
hold
sick
off
man.
on future attacks, and we're holding it.
Staying in power by
Late
conflict.
afternoon at RAF Fairford in Gloucestershire, and US B-52 bombers are on their way for their latest mission. No clear view yet how long this conflict will last and what will bring it to an end. Gary O'Donoghue, BBC News, Washington.
Well, the attacks on the energy infrastructure in Iran and the Gulf have caused oil and gas prices to surge around the world. The cost of gas for the UK is now double what it was before the war, and there are warnings that inflation is likely to rise again. The Bank of England left interest
Thanks
rates
to Israel and
unchanged
America.
today at 3.75%. Here's our economics editor, Faisal
A
Islam.
legal, unprovoked war. War of choice.
Shockwaves hitting prices already. Some of the world's most important gas and oil facilities lying in ruins. The global economy staring into the abyss. And so this morning, global gas and oil prices exploded too. This is what that looked like for the UK. Even though not much gas comes from Qatar and none at all comes from Iran, physically, the shockwaves affect the market prices. And you can see there, up it goes, enough to add £20 to £30 a month to typical bills if it's sustained, but not as much as we saw back in 2022 during the painful Ukraine energy shock. Likewise with oil too. Up it goes there at the end. And this time it's a bit closer to what we saw in 2022. This is the UK Brent oil price. In some Asian markets, we're already seeing $170 for a barrel. And then there are all the other commodities affected. Urea, important for fertilizer, jet fuel at record levels, wheat, aluminium, steel too, some of it trapped in the Straits of Hormuz on ships, others byproducts of oil and gas. So not yet a full-blown energy shock, but it is pretty shocking. A wave of inflation washing up here and everywhere, and that is most acutely seen here at the Bank of England. Could be looking at 4 or 5% inflation?
Well, I don't think I'm not going to speculate on that. You're correct that we are now looking at a path of inflation which is not the one we were looking at. At the last meeting where I said I thought it would come down to target by May. I'm afraid that's not going to happen. But we're not in the position we were in a few years ago because the backdrop to this is different. But it is a very volatile situation. The best and most appropriate solution to this problem is not monetary policy, is to reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
Up until this Iran war,
It's not going to be open.
Expectation that today the
It's not going to be open.
would have cut interest rates. That has not happened. A unanimous
As they chose to be
poll,
killing
and even some talk
Iranian
that if the
leaders,
conflict persists, that rates
there has to be a
might have
payback.
to go up. This uncertainty is feeding into markets for government
And this
borrowing,
war is not just
and
going to
so
finish
also
like this.
Fixed rate mortgages with astonishing speed.
Certainly people are panic buying mortgages, which in one hand is probably the worst thing to do because that encourages lenders to increase their rates. We noticed last week that the lender offering the most competitive 2-year fixed rate was at 3.9%. Within 24 hours, because demand was exceeding their expectations, that rate went up to 4.2%. A further 24 hours later is now doing a 2-year fixed rate of 4.6%.
Talk of multiple rate rises was played down by the bank. It all just depends on events, blockades and infernos a long, long way from home. Faisal Islam, BBC News.